Hey, my Liptons. So I know I kept talking about I was going to do a colorism video. So I decided that today was going to be the day. Um, this might not be the most perfect video and it might not be the most concise and the most informative and articulate, but I just wanted to include or, give you guys the definition, basically the basics of it, and to talk about how colorism affects, our society, how it affects our industries, how people are hired when it comes to socioeconomic status, that sort of thing, right? So, first things first, I want to go to the definition of it. It says here colorism, prejudice or discrimination against individuals with a darker skin tone, typically among people of the same ethnic or racial group. Colorism within the black community. There's like an example. Colorism within the black community has been a serious emotional and psychological battle. Now, colorism obviously is something that it's rooted, it came from racism, of course. We're going to talk about going back to colonialism and slavery, and even before that, not only in America but in so many different countries where, like, where you had particularly, where white supremacy was really, really dominant. And not to say white supremacy still isn't dominant in around the world, because it is. But just especially when you look at, continents or countries like, in Africa, in Asia, even in the Middle East, when you see just even like the most typical, like in our society, like you'll see sometimes lighter skin, like close to whiteness women being more preferred compared to the darker skin tone kind of woman. Or there's even situations where, and sometimes it's also reversed when it comes to, men. Men sometimes, you know, because at the end of the day, dark skin is seen as very masculine. You know what I mean? Dark skin is seen as tough, strong, masculine. So people tend to like the darker skinned man compared to the lighter skinned man, because lighter skinned man is seen as soft. It's seen as, it's seen as feminine, right? So everything really depends on the skin tone of a person. And unfortunately, a lot of times, people within ethnic groups, minority groups, are the ones that perpetuate, colorism. Not to say there can't be white people who can be, because don't get me wrong, white people can be also be colorist. Yes, let's say for instance, if they choose like uh, a woman or a man from a different ethnic group or that sort of thing, like sometimes that woman or man can be lighter skin, when typically, the dominant group within that culture or that minority is usually darker skinned, right? So sometimes, white people can also perpetuate colorism too, but it's not very, it's not very outward. Like, it's not outward compared to how we, people within ethnic groups, perpetuate colorism. Um, and we see it all the time. We see it all the time. I just discussed on my channel about Storm Reed wanting to play Storm from X-Men. Um, I also briefly discussed about how, now when you look at the young, black Hollywood actresses in Hollywood right now, who are they mostly? Is mostly light skinned girls, or is mostly biracial girls? And they usually play the more so feminine, girly roles compared to, like, dark skinned actresses. First of all, dark skinned actresses don't get the same privileges as like the biracial girls, like Zendaya, like Amanda, I forgot, I think Amanda Seinfeld, I think that's her name. Um, Even Storm Reed. Um, when you think of these actresses, it's like they get roles and privileges that dark skinned black women usually can't. And when we do see dark skinned black women on the screen, it's no shade, Viola Davis, you know, violent, it's always the sort of like warrior type, the maid type. It's always the slave type. It's always these like degrading roles. Like it's always like the roles there's like, oh my god, like it's either has to do with trauma or not to say trauma doesn't exist within, certain communities, but that's usually how it is. Like the particular roles that people give dark-skinned black women is usually very degrading and very dehumanizing compared to the roles that they give to biracial women like Zendaya. And also, especially now, like I said, when it comes to age, like it's, right now we had the Zendayas, we had the Storm Breeze, we had the Amanda Seyfelds. Like when it comes to the dark skinned black women, we don't have any of those young people. Like especially if we're talking mainstream. I'm not talking about because Viola Davis is old. Like I mean Angela Bassett, and I love them all, but like Angela Bassett is old. You know, so it's like, and right now Keke Palmer, unfortunately, is the only one that's kind of getting her shine now when Keke Palmer has been out way longer than Zendaya. So, and the fact that she's been out way longer than Zendaya, but yet Zendaya's net worth and the opportunities that Zendaya has is way, way more compared to what Keke Palmer has. And I think that's just is unfair. It's unfair, and it's sad that because we all knew Keke Palmer. We seen her on True Jackson VP. We seen her on the Medea movies, even though that didn't really do good for her image as well. Um, but it's like it's just one of those things. So I just want to go to an article real quick because I do want to talk about it. I want to get into some things. It says here Hollywood's colorism problem can't be ignored any longer. So this is back in 2017. Um, so I'm gonna read this whole article because I want you guys to get the full deed of what I'm talking about, right? The industry has yet to portray diversity of black beauty. Okay, as you can see, Zoe Kravitz, oh God, I'm gonna get to the blackface part of it too. I'm gonna get to blackface and how these biracial celebrities be, taking up black roles that are meant for fully black women, particularly dark skinned black women, and how sometimes, quote unquote, Zoe Saldana had to put on blackface when portraying Nina Simone when she should have never even been portraying Nina Simone. Why couldn't Hollywood get a dark skinned black woman to play Nina Simone? Okay. Over the past few years, the Black Girl Magic movement has exploded onto the movie and television screens across the country. And while it is a huge step on screen representation, there's just one problem. This representation tends to be limited by Hollywood's colorism problem. The range of young female blackness displayed on the big screen does not represent the range of blackness seen in today's society. Based on American media, an outsider could rightfully assume the vast majority of black women in the country are light skinned, that is not the case. Despite the rise of diversity on film, many black girls are still not seeing many actors who look like them on screen. Even Zendaya herself has addressed this, as she openly admitted to have a bit privileged compared to her darker sisters and brothers in her acting career due to having light skin. This Zendaya's quote: "If I get put into a position because of the color of my skin where people will listen to me, then I should use that privilege in the right way." And this is what Hollywood needs to realize. The casting agents, producers, and directors tend to gravitate towards a very distinct type of black girl who fits the Halle Berry aesthetic. Slim, light skinned, and classically attractive in a Eurocentric sense. Okay? And as you guys know, Halle Berry's another one who played Storm when she shouldn't have never played Storm. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. She shouldn't have never played Storm. Okay? To be clear, Hollywood's issue of colorism is not the fault of light-skinned actresses. Well, they also do participate in it. I can't really let the light-skinned girls off like that. They are not the ones perpetuating the belief that black women must have light skin. You see, okay. What I don't like about this article is like right now they're coddling light skin and biracial women, and that's the thing I don't like. It's like, yes, they do perpetuate. Not to say like some might not do it. Okay, for instance, Zendaya. Yes, Zendaya might give us a bone saying that, oh yes, colorism is real. They choose me because of my light skin. But at the same time, who is Zendaya hiring to be in her show's Euphoria? What dark skinned girls are in there, shown in a more attractive, feminine, sexy light? A young black girl, dark skinned black girl. You know what I'm saying? Light skinned people do perpetuate colorism too, and they participate in it because they get the privileges and the honors from it. Unless it's affecting their bag, then we really won't see anything. At the end of the day, it's okay to say, listen, they they're looking out for themselves. It is what it is. But it's like, stop coddling people to make it seem as if they're not perpetuating the whole, like, oh well, we're the most prettiest black women, or like our skin tone is being uplifted because we're light skinned, da 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 da. It's like, I don't like that. They're not the ones perpetuating the belief that black women have the light skin and straight curly hair to be cast as leading lady. The fault lies in Hollywood producers and casting agents who refuse to push boundaries and cast dark-skinned women in important movie roles, including roles that were made specifically for them. They choose to endorse an incredibly narrow selection of black women, yet at the same time want to get accolades for achieving diversity and representation on screen. This is a problem that particularly to black women. Just look at the dark-skinned male actors like Idris Elba, John Boyega, and Shamik Moore, who are able to achieve level of success that eludes the dark-skinned female counterparts. While modern Hollywood has made progress in tackling its racist history by including representation of black people, they are failing to adequately represent the diversity of blackness, particularly for women. Zendaya's statement shines light. Okay, if y'all guys are just gonna, and I like Zendaya, but it's like, girl, okay. In 2016, Afro-Latina actress Zoe Saldana created a storm of controversy for her portrayal of Nina Simone, renowned singer and activist. Instead of casting a dark-skinned actress, producers chose to cast a lighter one and altered her nose to look like Nina Simone. For the role, Zoe donned a prosthetic nose and skin color altering makeup to mimic Nina's appearance. In X-Men, the character Storm is of a Kenyan descent with a dark skin, and yet Storm has been portrayed by biracial actresses like Halle Berry and Alexandra Shipp in the movie Redemptions. Why does this matter? It does matter that black women with lighter skin is portraying a black character with dark skin. Why does it matter that some of the most popular black actresses are light skinned? Because it indicates that Hollywood still overwhelmingly believes that black women must possess non-black ancestry or features to be considered beautiful or valuable. Likewise, many black actors with dark skin and blacker features are being denied access to film roles. In 1982, author Alice Walker coined the term colorism to describe prejudices uniquely targeted to black people with darker skin and kinkier hair. Colorism is an ideology from slavery era where slaves with lighter skin were given a host of privileges not awarded to their dark-skinned counterparts. Colorism Colorism created the belief that lighter skinned black people are better, smarter, more attractive than dark skinned counterparts because they have closer proximity to whiteness. Okay. This part is very important. And I want you guys to understand this. The reason why you have light skinned black people, biracial black people, even in different minorities too. When it comes to the Latin world, in Latin actresses and actors. What's her name? Anna Taylor, I think that's her name. Even when it comes to that, J Lo. There's so many people. They choose these light skinned girls, these lighter skinned Latinx girls, even in Bollywood. It's no shade. I have an article up here, so I'm gonna read that as well. They choose those actresses and those singers to push them and to promote them more. It's because they have a proximity to whiteness, which means they have Eurocentric features. Their skin is light, bright, almost close to white. Okay, so in a way, they like that because they say, okay, well, while we might not identify with them too much because they're still from a minor, they're still from a, they're not completely white, but at least like we can somewhat identify with them because of their lighter skin. And white people have yet to really, I haven't really seen what the like white people really discuss this. Maybe I haven't really did my research on that, but I have yet to see white people really discuss how they choose these, like, whether it's in a black community, whether it's in the Hispanic Spanish community, whether it's in the Indian community, Asian community, they choose these lighter skinned women to push them to the moon, whether they have talent or not. Sometimes some of these people can be the most untalented people in the world, but yet they get privileges like no other. Look at rap right now. Look at hip hop. Who are the main girls that are being pushed to the moon? Ice Spice, who's untalented. Sweetie, I know y'all guys like Sweetie. It's no shade, but I think that there are other girls that deserve those roles. You know what I'm saying? Cardi B. And some people say, listen, it depends with people. Cardi's hit or miss for me, but I know there's some people that think that Cardi B's untalented, that sort of thing. Nicki, she's another light skinned girl. Listen, I'm a Nicki fan, but it's like we can't sit here and act as if her skin tone didn't take her to heights that we never seen before. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we need to be honest about how, like, these girls, whether it's in movies, music industry, whatever, that they're pushed to heights due to how their skin color is, especially if it's like a lighter skin tone. Oh yeah, I forgot about Yara Shahidi. Yara Shahidi is another one. Um, so these are some tweets. Okay, so it's like I said, there's a big issue, right? There's a big issue with lighter skinned people playing. Particular, it's one thing, honestly. Even though it's still frustrating that light skinned people are getting more roles compared to their dark skinned counterparts. It's even more frustrating when we see lighter skinned people playing roles that are meant for dark skinned black women, and it's really really like it really really pisses me off. So when I saw back in the day when Zoe Saldana played Nina Simone, knowing how Nina Simone looks like, right? She still accepted the role, right? And not to say, listen, don't get me wrong. The producers, the casting directors of that movie, they deserve to smoke too. It's like, y'all should have known better. You mean to tell me, like, you need someone with a prosthetic nose to darken her skin, which is basically blackface. He's always Saldana put on blackface to act the role of Nina Simone. And that's a huge issue. It was a huge problem back then. And it was only recently when the whole Black Lives Matter movement came about that Zoe Saldana decided to apologize for it when people called her out back then. But she stood by what she did. That's why I think that what she did her apology was disingenuous. Why do you have to see dead bodies on the ground for you to be out here talking about I made a mistake by playing this role, da 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 da. Either way, I'm a so obviously, like I said, this is not only a Hollywood thing. This is also, and because the only reason why I'm putting this out is because I also I'm very invested in Bollywood. Like, I'm invested in that industry. I watch their movies, I watch their shows, that sort of thing. We need to be honest. It's also in Bollywood too. It's also in Bollywood too, and I need to be honest about it. Bollywood. Maybe I need to have some conversations with some dark skinned Indians to see like how they feel about this whole situation, what's going on. But I feel like ever since I was a child, going to now, I have yet to see a dark skinned Indian portrayed on screen. Everybody has been light skinned. Everybody has been fair skinned. All the actresses. If you're talking about the legendary mainstream actresses and actors, they're all light skinned. They're all fair skinned, I would say, like, because they don't say light skin over there in India. They say fair skin, like pale, you know. So it says here, and they call it brown face. Like, you see how in America we say black face, but they call it brown face right here. It says here, the never ending saga of colorism in India cinema. And this is in 2021, this article. Brownface is a racist practice of using makeup to change skin tone, appropriating people from a certain community, seen most recently in The Family Man. Okay, so this actress right here, I don't know what she thought she was doing, but she's out here darkened her skin, knowing that this is how she actually looks like. So it's like, girl, you could. Why didn't y'all just hire a dark skinned actress to play this role? It says here, while global struggles to end stereotypes and appropriation are rife on social media, Indian cinema is more concerned with dismissing using brownface as an excuse for artistic liberty, which is bullshit. Behind the garb of skin lightening products, commercials, light skinned Indian actors continue to darken their complexion for multiple roles. In its second season, the most recent OTT hit show, The Family Man, stars like Samantha, I don't want to mispronounce her name, a Tamilian actor, as the main antagonist. However, she is shown several shades darker than the actor's natural skin tone. Not only did this spark fury among Twitter users, but it's also revealed that Indian filmmakers employ brown skin extensively, often with subtle okay, sorry. Not the case of The Family Man though. That one might just not notice it. When accused of brownface in an interview by film companion, the creators of the show, Raj and DK, dismissed the issue by saying, "This is the character of Raji. She looks a certain way, she walks a certain way, she's a killing machine, and that's all there is to it." Okay, that's very that was a very non-answer. However, brownface is more than just being labeled as creative liberty for expression. It has a history of being highly offensive. What makes brownface and blackface problematic is the original intent of these mockeries dating back to the United States in the 19th century. Blackface was initially used by white actors to represent African Americans as lazy, cowardly, hypersexual, by darkening their faces to look the part, mocking their accents and actions. Although blackface is now a thing of the past, brownface and yellowface have continued to occur in Western media to appropriate what South and East Asian cultures are inherently racist and are inherently racist. Closer to home, Indian cinema has widespread racism and colorism problem. It and it's doing little to solve it. Brown facing has been prevalent in Bollywood since the 50s, when the veteran actor Sunil Dutt played Birju, an angry, rebellious farmer in the classic movie Mother India 1957, appeared to be darker than his usual self. Okay. Alia Butt? Alia Butt also did some, because I know Alia Butt. She also did brown face too. Ciao. Hitchcock Roshan has a long history of engaging in brownface characters. Yeah, Bollywood has an issue here. Bollywood and Tollywood and you know, there's an issue with them not wanting to hire, particularly brown skin or darker skin Indians to play roles that are meant for darker skin Indians. It's like, it saves the trouble as far as like when it comes to makeup, where you could just hire the dark skinned or the brown skinned Indians to play the roles. Like, come on. Like what are we saying here? What are we doing? It's like, just say like, y'all guys see, light skin, fair skin, Indians more prettier and they're more experienced. So like whatever, we just gonna cast them to play these roles. Just say that. Just say that. At the end of the day, I think that it's dehumanizing not to have these people, these real, whether it's in Hollywood or whether it's in Bollywood and Tollywood, not to have these real dark-skinned Indians who, they're real. At the end of the day, I honestly believe that the dark-skinned, brown-skinned Indians make up majority of India compared to the fair-skinned ones. If I look up a poll right now, if I see that, and most likely I'm right. So it's like, I don't understand when it's like, when you clearly could see in society, like they make up majority of your people. Why aren't they being represented on screen majority of the time? This is just ridiculous. This is ridiculous. And at the end of the day, there is a huge issue when it comes to this. And then now, I'm gonna touch on it briefly because I don't want to get too much into it. But oftentimes with colorism, a lot of times when you see these actors and actresses being represented, being portrayed in a more, feminine way, thinking that they're the standard of beauty, what ends up happening? That's when the pushing of the bleaching products comes into play. And this is where it starts to get dangerous. People think that, listen, I'm talking about from experience. For a long time, I used to think that my skin, because I am a darker skin tone. I thought that for a long time that my skin tone was ugly. I thought that I was ugly. I wanted to bleach my skin. I remember telling my mother when I was younger that, hey, like, you know what, like, when I get older, I'm gonna start bleaching my skin. I want to become light skin because I think the light skin is more prettier. I think the dark skin is ugly. It's dirty. This is the type of stuff that happens. Like when you continuously get shitted on in the media, in society, saying that your skin tone is ugly, you're too dark. That's when the self-hatred comes into play. When people hate you, that's when the self-hatred comes into play. And that's when it's like, okay, well, I need to change myself in order to fit the beauty standards of what society wants to says is beautiful or is deemed as beautiful and desirable, right? And for a long time, I thought that way until I finally had to really educate myself and surround myself with good people and socially aware people to know that, hey, there's a reason as to why you feel this way. And it's bullshit that you feel this way. Like, don't let society brainwash you into thinking that your darker skin or your brown skin is ugly. Because let's be very clear, all skin tones are beautiful. Light, bright, fair, dark skin, brown skin, caramel, all skin tones are beautiful. They're all beautiful. At the end of the day, God gave us these skin tones because, He said, there's the perfect one for you. And guess what? We are all perfect. Our skin, there's nothing wrong with our skin tones. But what I don't like is how we, down each other, particularly how people, shit on darker skinned people, saying that they need to change their skin. That's why these lightening products are always pushed on the darker skin people in the darker skin community. And it's in America, it's in Africa, it's in Asia, it's in the Middle East, where it's like they prey on our insecurities, thinking that there's something wrong with us, that we need to change ourselves in order to fit their standards. And I really feel like we need to break out of that mindset. And the thing is, we also need that media representation to making sure that, hey, our skin tone is being represented in media. It's being represented in a way where it's feminine, where it's beautiful, it's soft, is this, is that, in a positive way and not in a negative way, right? Because right now, let's be very clear. When we see dark-skinned black women being portrayed in, whether it's in movies, whether it's in reality TV, whether it's in TV shows, we're always portrayed as the saviors, the masculine ones, the angry ones, the tough ones, the this ones, the it's never anything seen as what a typical girl will be portrayed as. And I think that needs to end. I think that needs to end because when we see Zendaya, we think Zendaya is like the most beautiful person in the world. We think that she just dresses so well. She's a fashionista. She's beautiful. She's feminine. She's this. She's that. We don't see Zendaya as being masculine. We see femininity through her. The same with Zoe Kravitz. We see that with her too. The same with Zoe Saldana. We see that too. So it's like we're not gonna sit here and act as if we don't know what's going on, right? All in all, I'm gonna just say this. There's a lot going on, especially when it comes to the movie industry and like the shows that they're pushing, that's portraying, that's even when I was talking about the Avatar series that's about to happen on Netflix, how they casted lighter skin Asian people to play roles that are meant for darker skin Asian people, right? There's more coming out the pipeline. The only way that we can really get things changed or have Hollywood to look at itself is that we need to call it out. There needs to be strength in numbers. There need to be petitions. There needs to be conversations online about this. because I feel like it's more so, you know, quote unquote YouTube style, but it's like once it gets to the mainstream, and we call out these casting directors for putting light skinned people or biracial people in roles that are meant for black, particularly black women or dark, and particularly dark skinned black women. You know, especially when it comes at the end of the day, let's be very clear. I'm gonna fight for Storm from X-Men. I'm gonna fight for Storm from X-Men to the T. Okay? I'm gonna fight for her. The same thing for, because I know they're making a Hercules live action, the Disney version. I'm gonna fight for them, those dark skinned muses to be represented. I don't want no light skinned people be represented in that, if that roles, those roles are meant for dark skinned people, dark skinned women. Let it be that. And we need to fight for more representation. Like, it's just, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. At the end of the day, I feel like this is a conversation that needs to be had, and we need to be more open to having discussions like this, because it really, really affects, because I don't want people, particularly younger, young girls who are darker skinned, to have the experiences that I've had, or probably other people have had, where it's like they hate themselves, or they hate the skin tone that they're in. They want to bleach themselves. They want to look light skin and fair skin because it's seen as, it's deemed as beautiful, that sort of thing. I really, really want us to, for society to change. I really do. So either way, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.